Good morning, fifth grade. Today we are going to start rounding as our wake up, and I'm going to run through just a quick reminder video on how rounding works. First thing you need to know, number one is if you do not know your place value, you need to know your place value. The place value chart is super duper important. Without knowing your place value, it'll be very impossible for you to round. Number two, when rounding in our class or in fifth grade, you must show your work, and showing your work involves two really easy steps. Step number one, you must underline the place value that is being rounded. You'll see an example of this in a moment, but you must underline the place value that is being rounded. Step two, you must draw an arrow to the boss, the number to the right of the underlined place value. So those are the two ways you'll show your work. And then obviously the third thing will be giving your answer. Here's how this works. Example number one we're looking at is right here. It says round to the nearest hundredths. Here is our number, 546.001. So 546 and 1,000th. We're going to round to the nearest hundredth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow step A, underline the place value that's being rounded. If I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth, this is the number that I must underline. So the work involves underlining the number that is being rounded. I'm rounding to the nearest hundredth. Then what I'm going to do is step B. I'm going to draw an arrow to the boss, which is the number to the right of the underlined place value. The boss happens to be the number 1. So I underlined the place value being rounded. I drew an arrow to the boss. You know, or you should know, that if the number that is the boss, the number that we draw the arrow to, is 4 and below, you leave it alone, and it would be the number we're rounding. So we are going to leave the 0 alone, and we're going to rewrite our whole problem, leaving the 5, the 4, the 6, the decimal point, and the 0 alone. We're going to leave the 0 that is being rounded alone, so in other words, leave it alone, leave it a 0. And then the 1 or anything afterwards is going to change to a 0 too. So when we round to the nearest hundredth, our answer for this problem is 546 and 0 thousandths. Of course, you don't need those zeros, but you can leave them there. Example number 2, round to the nearest tens. So I'm going to underline the number in the tens place. The 8 is in the tens place. I'm going to draw an arrow to the boss. The boss is the number immediately to the right. The boss is 6, and we know the rule, 5 and above, give it a shove. And the number we're going to give a shove is that number 8, or the number that we underlined, the number that we're rounding. So the 6 tells the 8 that it needs to shove up one more number to a 9. So our new answer, our rounded answer, is 6,300. The 8 becomes a 9, and then everything after that turns into a 0. 0.000. So 6,390 is our final answer, because the boss, the number to the right of the underlined place value, said to give it a shove. Good luck with your wake up.